I punch people in the face. My goal is to knock them out. I'm an undefeated professional boxer, a two-sport world champion, and the UK's first female to compete in Lethwei. Yes, that's me. I'm also a global project manager for HSBC. That's my safe job. I wasn't born a fighter. So let me tell you the truth about boxing. Yes, it is brutal, it is aggressive, and it is violent. But it's also not just fighting, or punching people, or knocking them out. So, how does a shy girl go on to become a world champion in one of the world's most brutal sports? I was once a little girl who practiced ballet in a tutu, who avoided confrontation, who didn't have a voice, and thought courage was something other people had. This is the journey I want to share with you, and I'll do it in 3 rounds. Round 1. Growth is uncomfortable. 5 years ago, I found out the hard way when I became the first UK female to compete in Lethwei, a Burmese martial art that allows punches, kicks, knees, elbows, headbutts, all without gloves. I remember being in the changing room, wondering what on earth I'd signed up for. I was watching a fight online, wondering why the males fighting looked so cagey, almost scared. Ironic, I know. Flash forward 1 year, and that was me, about to compete under the rule set. I was terrified. Sure, I'd practiced martial arts, but I'd never had a street fight. I'd never punched anyone without a glove on my fist. As I was in the changing room, fighters were returning from the ring unrecognizable, bodies bruised and swollen, laying like corpses under ice packs from head to toe, and the next wave of fighters chewing betel nut, an Asian drug used to sharpen focus and reduce pain. As I left the changing room with nothing but my mouthguard, I was so close to calling it quits, to walking away, to not showing up. And then it hit me. Everything I'd ever wanted was sat on the other side of fear, on the other side of my fear. So despite the sheer terror, I stayed and I walked out into the ring. To this day, I don't know if I was happier that I won or that I didn't die. That was a bonus. The sheer sense of euphoria I felt, whatever was above cloud 9, I was there. After achieving something that right up until the last moment felt impossible, was only possible because I allowed myself to be scared and uncomfortable and stayed anyway. The real victory wasn't the accolade, although very nice. It was realizing this. Growth doesn't come from doing what's comfortable. Growth comes from deliberately choosing what's uncomfortable and staying there long enough to change. And that's what fighters do. They learn to stay. Our sporting heroes, Cristiano Ronaldo missed over 4,000 shots. He stayed. Serena Williams lost 10 Grand Slam finals. She stayed. Michael Jordan missed over 9,000 shots. He stayed. The fight is never just fists. I didn't become a champion because I was fearless with an abundance of courage. I became a champion because I enabled myself to be scared, embraced the unknown, and stayed there long enough to change. That's where the transformation happens. So whatever your ring looks like, stay. Round 2. Resilience is built. When everyone sees my highlight reel, they think I've got my life together. Danced in the National Ballet, British title in kickboxing, world title in Lethwei, world title in Taekwondo, first-class biomedical science degree. And today, an undefeated professional boxer signed to the UK's top boxing promoter, Frank Warren, whilst leading over 200 staff and managing budgets of 100 million for HSBC. But here's my real life reel. I was born with narcolepsy and fell behind in school. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor after getting my big break in boxing. I suffered post-traumatic stress disorder after being in a life-threatening car crash. I was dropped from the Olympic team. I was knocked out cold in my first amateur fight, spent time in a wheelchair, countless injuries, broken ribs, dislocated jaw, broken nose, eye surgery. I share this because if you knew failure was the price for success in your career, in your passion, in your dream, would you still pay it? We all have a highlight reel, but behind every highlight is hard work, struggle, and failure. And those are the real reasons we succeed today. How many failures will you endure before you walk away? 100? 50? 20? 1? If I've realized anything, it's this. Resilience isn't something we're born with. It's built. One comeback, one setback, one round at a time. In the ring and in life, resilience isn't talent. It's a muscle built repetition after repetition. You get hit, you learn to take it. You fall, you learn to rise. You fail, you learn to show up anyway. And that's what combat sports gave me. A place to fail, to be knocked down, and be coached back to my feet and try again. To leave standing taller than I arrived. Because the fight is never just fists. And resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about finding that grit and fire inside you and being able to take the hit and step forward anyway. Third and final round. Know your worth. This one's my mother's motto. At the age of 8, she came to the UK from Burma, and shortly after, her father died. She took on the responsibility of having to look after her siblings, so left school with no qualifications, no money, and no roadmap. She bought herself a typewriter, got a job, and went to retire at her peak, heading up global HR operations across 2 continents. My mother didn't have any handouts, but what she had in abundance was self-worth. She normalized coming home from work and sharing how she'd asked for that salary increase, how she challenged her peers fairly but firmly. And that's what combat sports gave me. Not just the ability to fight, which it definitely did, but the ability to stand tall in the boardroom, to ask for what I deserve, to use my voice, to walk into rooms where I typically wouldn't belong. Let me ask you this. Who here has ever walked into a room where they feel like they don't belong? Raise your hand. Take a look around. You're not alone. Somewhere out there, there's a young person, like I once was, hiding behind her voice. If young people learn early enough their worth, they won't shrink themselves to fit in. They'll walk into every room like they belong and change the world because of it. Because the fight is never just fists. It's knowing you deserve to be there, even when the world says you don't. So yes, boxing is brutal. But do you know what's more brutal? Telling a person to change and giving them absolutely no tools to do it. In combat gyms across the world, character is built, leadership is built, and futures are forged. Not through fists, but through a willingness to face fears, develop resilience, and claim your worth. Your life is yours, if you choose to fight for it. My challenge to you is find your ring and step into it. It might be a stage like this, a meeting room, a difficult conversation, but stay there until it changes you, because that's where the transformation happens. Life's greatest victories are not won through fists, but in the choices we make, the battles we own, and the life we claim. The bell has rung. It's your turn. Thank you.